Just on a human level, it must be difficult when you knock on these doors. You see the faces of the parents, and that penny drops that their child is not only going in looking at stuff they shouldn't. We're talking about serious crime. We're talking about terrorism. Well, welcome to New Scotland Yard, the most famous building in policing. A couple of months ago, I got a tip-off that young boys were being arrested in their dozens for planning terror attacks. Since then, I've been negotiating with counter-terror police here, asking them for an interview. Finally, after months and months of asking, they're inviting us in, and we're about to interview an undercover secretive operative, and we're about to get an insight into a very dark world. People like this never speak. Josh, we're going to call you. Obviously, we can't identify you because of the work you do. Could you just explain a bit of the work that you do?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm an intelligence officer. I work in a national unit here at counter-terrorism policing headquarters. And we monitor the extreme right-wing terrorism threat and make sure that we are fit for purpose in terms of our response.
And where are we at today? Because, we're seeing... the country's in a really delicate place at the minute. You're seeing protests all over the country. What does that mean for you in counter-terrorism policing?
So the protest element is not something we deal with in counter-terrorism policing. I've worked in counter-terrorism policing now for a long time, and I've seen that transition as the threats changed. The challenge we face now is primarily online, increasingly with children. Sadly, 1 in 5 people that we arrest for terrorism is a child.
It's extraordinary, that.
And that's the reason why we're taking part in these interviews at the moment, because we're trying to raise awareness. We've seen an increasing significant presence of children in our casework, and that's ideally what we want to stop. And that's all linked to the prevalence of extremist content on the internet, and the ease with which that people can get hold of it.
Just talk about some of the cases. How old are we talking?
So we've seen children as young as 11 and 12 in our casework. Like I say, 1 in 5. So numbers-wise, in 2023, we arrested 42 under 17-year-olds.
Right.
And our colleagues in MI5 recently released figures that said that 13% of their investigations consist of those under age of 18. And that's not where any of us have joined policing, especially not in counter-terrorism policing. And that's why it's so important that we talk about it and raise awareness.
And how are these kids being drawn in to this extremism?
It's incredibly easy. So we were just talking earlier on, weren't we? And I was showing you some of the footage. An individual can quite easily set up a social media account and be bombarded with rhetoric that exploits pre-existing grievances and provides an opportunity, or almost an excuse. We see conspiracy theories playing a big part in that.
Right.
Conspiracy theories, in the simplest terms, provide a really simple solution to a really complex issue, and it provides like an outlet or an excuse or a subject that's causing that individual's grievances, and that's what we see. We see extremists playing on those grievances and then drawing those individuals through that way.
Right, and I kind of presumed that it would all be done over the dark web, but it's not that, is it? It's just normal social media.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, propaganda will only be successful if it's easily accessible.
Right.
And so we'll see different levels. We will see tamed down versions of that will be on mainstream social media sites, and then what they actually act as is a link back to Telegram chats, other more secure means of speaking to one another, and that's where the more extreme content is then shared.
And what about the parents of these kids? Do they know anything about this?
It's really difficult. A number of parents that we will turn up at their address, it's the first time they've ever heard of it.
Really?
And I massively sympathise. I'm a father myself of 3 children. It's really difficult, and I'm really technically savvy. I've worked in this space for a long time.
Yeah.
But even I would struggle with some of the new technological advancements. And that's why we're really trying to signpost the parents. There's a website called internetmatters.org. Fantastic resource. We'll have step-by-step guides about how to bring in parental controls. But more than that, it will go on to talk about how to have conversations with children, how we can have an open and frank conversation about, one, what are they doing if they see things that are concerning on the internet? How would they react if they saw some things? And our comms team have been brilliant in putting out lots of publications. So if you visit our Instagram account at the moment, there's lots of content about that, how we can signpost parents to get the help they need.
This kind of reminds me of, did you ever watch Adolescence, that show?
Do you know what? I haven't.
You haven't?
Embarrassingly, it seems a bit
You're
like...
the one person.
It's a bit like it's too close to home, it's work.
I suppose, because obviously that's all about this kid who just gets drawn into this world and his parents don't have a clue about what's going on. This is very similar.
Absolutely, yeah. Every one of my colleagues that have watched it, I feel like I have watched it because of the amount of people that have told me the content, so I almost haven't had to go through and watch it. But yeah, everything that we've seen from the output from that series, it's been brilliant for us because it highlights a concern that we face. And exactly that. If it will raise awareness, then it's a brilliant thing.
And just on a human level, it must be difficult when you knock on these doors. You see the faces of the parents, and that penny drops that their child is not only going in looking at stuff they shouldn't. We're talking about serious crime. We're talking about terrorism.
Yeah, and the content is absolutely vile.
Could you describe a bit of the content just to give us a flavour of what you're saying? I mean, are we talking bomb manuals? Are we talking planning terror attacks? What we're talking?
If you name it and you'll see it.
Oh, really?
Worryingly, more increasingly, it's just sheer violence.
Right.
And sexual violence as well.
Right.
Mixed in with that. There are bad actors out there that are try to subvert some of these scenes to make it even more extreme, even more nihilistic, and that's where we see this blend of extreme gore content, extreme sexual violence and self-harm, all kind of mixed into one nihilistic output.
And where's all this coming from? Who is responsible for pumping this out?
Really difficult to say.
Is it?
Yeah. There are...
They cover their tracks well.
Absolutely, yeah. There are sadistically horrible people out there that clearly enjoy. We described a group called Telegram Collective only very recently. We're the first country to do so, and that group perfectly depicts what the threat we're facing.
And where are they based?
So that was transnational,
okay.
and that's the challenge we have now.
Right.
Is the vast majority of these groups are transnational, which means we have to work very closely with our colleagues in the Five Eyes community to disrupt them. What that group did is very few of the actual individuals that were in the centre, the nexus that were driving the threat, were actually carrying out any offences themselves. What they actually prefer is to encourage other people, give other people the resources, poke other individuals, exacerbate their grievances, and encourage those to go out and carry out an attack. We see a thing called sainthood, where you can actually enter the sainthood of extreme right-wing terrorists. Right. And this is where they venerate individuals that have successfully carried out attacks based on their extreme right-wing ideology.
One of the main messages from counter-terror policing has been one of the fastest growing threats is from foreign states like Russia and China. Presumably this is the type of stuff they're doing.
I wouldn't. It's not my area of expertise. What I would say is I think it would obviously clearly be in the interest of our adversities to divide. Dividing our communities would undermine the national security threat. So, whilst I can't comment on behalf of counter-terrorism policing on that matter, I would not be surprised.
Okay. Could I see some of the content?
Absolutely, yeah. The material, like we said there, that can be available on the open web. This is not secret. This is.
So anyone can see this.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'll play the video. I'll mute it because the sound is not great. But what this video shows is that it plays on attracting individuals' sense of belonging. That's one of the main things that we see within their grievance. We've got disenfranchised individuals that don't feel like they belong in society for a number of reasons.
And talk us through the language that's being used.
So this video here is telling people that you can do more, you can achieve, you can be someone. But not only that, is that we will act as a guide, we will teach you. It goes on to say that you can become part of the brotherhood.
Right.
You can finally belong and be with someone. You can make a difference.
Right.
But all you need to do is take these simple steps.
Right.
This is not a complex having to go and
Right.
scarily meet a guy in a pub somewhere in a dark room and expose yourselves and potentially be identified. You can privately join us in that chat room. We can provide you with all the material that you need. We'll make it seem secretive, but also that you've joined a private group. You have to be vetted. Like, not everyone can do this.
It seems to me that this is kind of grooming 101, right? This happens in every kind of level of
Absolutely,
grooming, but this is just on a really extreme scale.
Yeah, and this is like you just said there. This is not just in the extreme right-wing space. This will be mirrored in the Islamist threat as well.
Yeah.
And then the more concerning areas that I touched on a minute ago was there around that sainthood. So what we will see is we'll see lots and lots of content on the internet that will depict people like Dylan Ruth, who committed the Charleston church attack. There'll be lots and lots of videos that will depict that individual as being a successful individual.
Painting these as heroes.
Absolutely.
These terrorists as heroes.
Yeah, and you can be that. And you can receive that same level.
You can be that as famous as this guy.
Exactly that, yeah.
Could I have a look a bit more?
Yeah, of course. So this here is linked to that group that we spoke about earlier on, Telegram Collective.
Yeah.
This was a publication that they created in 2021. And what they said here is they wrote a monologue, a story, a fictitious attack, and that resulted in an individual that murdered several police officers, took his own life, along with lots of individuals that he shot. And then they depicted him in a fictitious newspaper headline here. And what the publication said is that your face here, if you can go on and replicate this, we will make you famous. And that's exactly what happened in 2022.
Right.
There was an attack at an LGBT bar there, and a guy called Krajic, he wrote in his manifesto that he was inspired by the Telegram Collective, and then the very next day they produced the exact same article, but changed it all and showed him as being that hero. Okay. And that shows a direct correlation between a piece of propaganda and then a real world attack, and then sadly a loss of life.
And just if that other video that you said you were...
So this other video here is very typical of what we see. This is sort of a mishmash, very much aimed at a young generation.
Well, you can see that. You can not only see it in the language, but you can see it in the production in a way. It's kind of...
Very much so.
Yeah.
So this is just a mishmash of activist activity, violence.
You see Hitler there, AK-47s, ISIS. Yeah.
And drawing back to an age that is venerated. They will look back at the Nazi Party of the 1930s, and that's ultimately what they crave.
Burning of the Israeli flag there. So this is just on places like TikTok and Snapchat.
Yeah, exactly that.
Really? I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? And this is probably going to terrify parents, this. And hopefully, maybe be a wake-up call for them, which I'm presuming is what you want, which is why you're doing this interview.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to alarm people, but at the same time, we do want parents to pay a more active
sometimes
interest.
You need a shock to get the message across. So these kids, I mean, this is a really complex issue, isn't it, when children are involved? Are they treated like terrorists, suspects, or are they treated like victims?
Bit of both.
Right.
So we when we arrest someone, when we arrest them for a terrorist offence, they are treated as terrorists. Obviously, there'll be extra safeguards in place because they're a child, but the impact of that arrest that it will have on their future careers, their job opportunities, the impact it's going to have on that family and the wider community they come from, is going to be huge, and that's why we want to avoid it. A lot of the offences that they're committing are involving digital media that's downloaded off the internet and shared. So that's why we are wanting to be that's why we want to increase parents to be more intrusive about the online spaces.
Yeah. It must be difficult, though, for you guys to keep on top of this, because since it seems so rife and it's so open and easily available to kids, how on earth do you keep on top of all this?
We've got a great unit within counter-terrorism policing called the counter-terrorism internet referral unit, which they will assess publications. They will receive public referrals. On the Home Office website, there is a button where the general public can report something. So that's a call to the general public as well, and the journalist community, that the only way that we can combat this is by taking that material down, which is why we've got a dedicated team that will assess that material and we then call upon those social media companies to take that down.
What do the parents say to you when, that you come knocking?
It's really different. Really difficult, because I don't think there's one typical family. You touched on earlier on there around the fact that a lot of the parents won't know, and I think that's probably the most common thing. Is that, how would I have known? I thought that my son or daughter was just doing homework. I didn't realise this stuff was so easily accessible, and that's why I really sympathise with parents that don't understand technology, and which is why we're so keen to give them the tools they can to enable them to be able to monitor what their children are doing online.
Do you think this is something that the education system can help with?
It's really difficult. I think we definitely need to work closely in hand with the Department of Education, but I'm also very conscious that the Department of Education have also got a lot of responsibility here.
Course, yeah.
This is a much wider societal problem. It's a combination between ourselves in policing, our government and regulations. With the Online Safety Act coming through and Ofcom being the regulator for that, it's going to need all of us to work together to try and reduce this harm.
And the children that are being arrested, is it all extreme far right wing terrorism, or is it Islamist terrorism as well?
We see a mixture. There was a period not long ago, and this data has been made available. At one point, we were seeing primarily extreme right wing. I think this peaked at around 2019, 2020, where I think nearly all bar one were for extreme right wing. Now we seem to see a much more of an even split.
What are these proxies? If you could talk a bit about the proxies that you mentioned before, what is the role of a proxy? What are they hoping to achieve? Presumably, they just want to inspire someone to commit a terror attack. This is a kid. They're impressionable. They're probably the most vulnerable, so I'm going to target them. Is that what they're doing?
I think if we're talking proxies as in individuals online that are trying to radicalise others.
Yeah.
We've had a case not too long ago where an individual was linked to a terrorist group. He was a huge propagandist. He was creating content that was celebrated internationally as being really, really top level. I'm aware of where he was visiting prison once they identified that his propaganda directly led to a terrorist attack that occurred overseas. And what I've asked the investigator, like, what was his reaction? And there seemed to be a disconnect between them pushing out that propaganda and that material and then having a real world effect in the real world. There's still that misunderstanding of, like, there are consequences to the material you put online, that what you inspired someone to go over. I think it's really difficult to say. I wouldn't want to give like any sort of overarching sort of assessment, because I think so many different people can be motivated by different things.
And presumably AI is making it easier for these people to create this propaganda.
It's definitely...
I mean, some of that stuff there, that may have been created by AI.
Could quite possibly. It's definitely lowering the barrier to entry. It means that it's another tool that a propagandist can have in their toolkit to be able to create that content. The only thing I'd say is that this space is very competitive, and there would be comments made by other people that this is cheap, that you haven't created, it's not original content. We see that in other extreme spaces, so I imagine that we still would see that same approach. But will it make it easier? Absolutely.
Could you give me a flavour of a really shocking case that has, not only affected you, but obviously affected the family, and just to give people an idea about what's actually going on?
I think there was a case in 2022 where a group of individuals up in the northeast, spread pretty much across the country, but there was a nexus within the counter-terrorism police in the northeast region. Those individuals were in a Telegram group. They were communicating, pumping out extremist narratives, talking about potential attack planning, etc. But when they carried out the arrest of those individuals and carried out the warrant, they found a 3D printed firearm in the middle of being constructed at that address. Now, I think that is the concern. We thankfully in the UK have a very strong licensing laws, and we don't see the same levels that we see internationally. But that's just an example of what if.
I spoke to an expert in intelligence yesterday about a different story, actually, about a story about guns and these blank guns that are being imported into the country and then being converted into deadly weapons. And they're saying that there are more and more coming in, and this is a real worry. I mean, I suppose for you that's another concern, that these easily accessible firearms that can be converted could find their hands into, a child.
Yeah, and that's why within counter-terrorism policing we have a great relationship with our colleagues in the NCA,
Yeah.
and we have a joint-up team to counter that threat, and that covers everything from converted firearms all the way through to 3D printed firearms and countering that threat.
Do extreme right-wing terrorists, I know for a fact that they use whatever's going on in the world to drum up, activity and support and try and inspire people. Are they using recent events such as, the Epping Hotel protests and the asylum seeker issue that we've got going on in this in this country? Are they using that?
All extremists, both on the Islamist side of the threat picture and the extreme right wing, one of the main things they will do is exploit grievances that are held already for their own benefit. And so that's no different with this area.
Yeah, I'll take that as a yes. So, are you a parent?
I am, yeah.
What do you think about the role of social media companies in all this? Because this is where all this extremist material is being pumped out. Do you think they can be doing more as a parent? Not speaking as a police officer.
Yeah, I'll make that clear that this is me as a father speaking,
Yeah.
not as a counter-terrorism police officer. But yes, I'm incredibly strict with my children for a reason, by not allowing them to have social media, because I see the negative impact it has, not just with terrorism and extremism, but for all of the other ills that social media that brings in to individuals that yet haven't formed maturity yet to be able to understand what they're seeing. So yes, 100% would I like content to be removed more often. Yeah, but that's me as a parent.
No, I get that. Just give us an idea of the amount of material that you are taking down and identifying. I mean, just say every month. Are we talking tens, hundreds, thousands?
We're talking thousands.
Thousands.
And that's probably only a snapshot, because we're massively reliant on public referrals and what we identify in policing. But is that a true reflection of how much content's out there? Absolutely not.
Okay. You mentioned the case in the northeast there. That it's happening quite a lot in the north of England.
No, I think that gets skewed.
Does it?
Yeah, because without going into too much detail about how the counter-terrorism network is set up, we have buddy units. Yeah. So the east of England, the north-east of England will cover the East Midlands. Sure. So therefore, it will sometimes appear that the northeast will be investigating it, but that could be an event that took place in Derbyshire or Lincolnshire.
Sure. Right. Why do you think that children are susceptible to this?
I don't think they've yet got the maturity to be able to question. One of the things that, again, as a father, what I've tried to install in my children is critical thinking. I think there's a massive absence of that, of not questioning the material that you're reading. We've got a huge issue where primarily young boys feel like they're under attack. There is that male toxicity thing that's sort of pumped through the media. And so a lot of these youngsters will seek to try and find answers to some of those. And there's not many people talking about that in the mainstream. So that's where our extremists will exploit those.
Do you think influencers like Andrew Tate, you mentioned male toxicity, do you think they don't help the situation?
Personally, in the casework I've seen is that I've not seen Andrew Tate as someone within the extreme right-wing community. Sure. I think Andrew Tate is more of a symptom of the problem as opposed to being a catalyst for causing it.
Interesting. Josh, thanks so much for speaking to us.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having us.